Hello, welcome everyone. Jonathan Flora, the Yolo County Fire Safe Council Chair, calling the meeting for November 29th to order. And if we get the agenda up, for those of you who have taken a look, the first item is to call the meeting to order. Second is the second and third are to approve the agenda. Do we have any additions that we need to update? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Jack Snyder.
Move to approve. I'll second. It's Don Palm.
Okay. Hopefully Ali caught all that. All in favor, state aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, we move on. The next item is to approve the minutes from October 25th, and hopefully everybody's had a chance to review those that were sent last week.
I'll move to approve the minutes. Jesse, KP Valley.
Second, Ken Britton, West Winters.
All right. Doesn't sound like there's any need for discussion or anybody else speaking up. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, we've moved the approved the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting. We're on to member announcements. I'll turn that back to Tanya to.
Excellent. I do have one announcement, which is that the UC Davis Fire Department has applied and been approved for they are a new member of the Fire Safe Council. So welcome and thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
All right.
That's the only announcement I have.
That's
Allie,
the only announcement then.
no, Allie has an announcement also.
Yeah, there is a community meeting tonight for the Yolo County Climate Action and Adaptation Plan up in Gwenda. So any folks that want to learn more about that and share their vision and provide some public commentary on that, it's tonight at 6 p.m. at the Grange Hall, which is at 16787 Forest Avenue in Gwenda, California. So that's for folks that live up in Gwenda.
You guys up there can meeting hop.
Mm-hmm.
And pleased to say I'll be there too, as
Excellent.
part of the Yolo County Climate Action Commission.
Okay.
Is there really going to be food and childcare?
There really is. The one in Winters had quite an abundance of pizza and flexible arrangements available for childcare, and there should be translation for those who need it as well.
I'm encouraging people to show up just to get a break from their kids.
All right. I guess no other additional announcements. Do we move on to item 5, early action funding?
Yes, we do. So
May I have a 1 minute?
Oh.
Oh.
Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, no. So thank you, Tanya, for sending me the application to be a member here. In the process of completing it, and gonna go ahead and pass it on to the CEO for consideration and submission. So thank you for that. Name's Jorge Zavala, Disaster Services Program Manager. And just a real quick announcement: on the 13th of December, we're having a gathering at the Blue Note Brewing Company, Deer Cat Alley in Woodland at 3:30. To provide some disaster preparation resources, but also getting us ready for the rains that are coming. And we'll be doing a simulation game and putting ourselves in the shoes of vulnerable community members. Yeah, feel free to come join us on December 13th, 3:30 p.m. at Blue Note Brewing in Woodland.
Thank you. Any more announcements? That was a good one. So, yeah, so last time, if you guys remember, we wanted to add a project to our project list and we thought we did not have a quorum. So we reviewed our bylaws and Heather is going to go over those with us.
Here you go. Can you see my screen? Okay. So yeah, sorry about that, everybody. I think we just had a minute of brain freeze maybe, but we did go back and look at the bylaws and I'll go over, if Ally, if you could just drop the link to the bylaws from the Fire Safe Council website, so folks can see the whole thing if they want, but I just zoned in on, you know, the voting elements of it because it was an action item. And essentially, this is the ticket, and essentially there's, you know, at any regular business meeting requires favorable vote of supermajority of 2/3 of voting members present. And so a quorum's not required for those votes. Now, the two exceptions to that are election of officers and changing of the bylaws, in which 2/3 supermajority of the entire council's membership, you know, has to weigh in. So I know some folks like Jorge and others are coming in, you know, after we went through a process in 2021 to complete these bylaws. So just so you have access to that, we try to keep everything on the Fire Safe Council website up to date. We haven't changed them since they were completed, but I think they're functioning pretty well as long as we remember what they are. And so here's just a few other things, is just a refresher for voting members that there is a good standing requirement, which is meant to encourage, you know, regular participation of the council discussions and meetings that happen about once a month, that not to miss more than 3 consecutive meetings. So if you're a voting member and you know want to be voting on the actions of the Fire Safe Council meeting, you need to not miss more than 3 meetings in a row. Now, it sounds very severe, but you know, if you do miss 3 meetings in a row, you can get your voting rights back by sending a representative, you know, for 2 consecutive meetings. And then just another assurance, if you want to keep your voting membership in good standing and things get busy, you can, I know we do a virtual attendance. There's a phone attendance is acceptable. You can vote by proxy as well, designate an individual, make sure you have a primary and secondary. And then of course, like each membership, even if you have 2 or more representatives, only gets the 1 vote. And I think those are the main parts of that. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to bring up? Because we do have an item, you know, of consequence to vote on tonight at the Knox boxes. So I think we ended up putting that together, you know, years ago. You know, even if there was 5 people that show up, you know, we can keep business moving too. So that's another element of that. I think that's it.
Awesome, thank you. So now we know. Oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, no, I'll keep that in mind if I have in the future. Yeah, it was one of those thoughts that popped into my head that was like, well, do we need a quorum since it's money?
Makes sense.
So at this point, we're on to item number 6, which is to approve the added project of the of adding Knox box to gates in the Winters area. That just wasn't in the original, or you can describe it, Tanya.
Yeah, so I was also, make sure you folks are all muted. So also I wanted to go over the project list just to update everyone on, because the action is Knox boxes for West Winters area and other project amendments. And again, to remind folks that these projects have not been scoped or bid on or estimated yet. So the dollar amounts are sort of placeholders. We're not wedded to them. We do have flexibility. So, you guys have all seen this. I sent it out last week. It's our project list. There's a few changes. One is the West Winter State Highway 128 fuels reduction. We wanted to extend that past the big turn at Bobcat Ranch all the way down towards Lake Solano. We're only going to be working on the south side of 128, and it gets super skinny there, so there won't be tons of extra work, but it is kind of also quite brushy there. So you can see that's in orange. And then again, to remind you, the Winters area Creek side fuels reduction, that project got scaled back quite a bit. It could be grazed or even just weed whacked. So I'm recommending to reduce this dollar amount and move it to Knox boxes.
Can you explain what a Knox box is, please?
Oh, yeah, it is and I'm probably not the best person to explain it, but it's a box that is on a gate with a key to the gate in it, so that if you are an emergency official, you have a master key, you can get into the box, get the key to the gate, and open the gate without having to cut chains or push through gates in an emergency.
Okay, great, thanks.
It's kind of a win-win because the gate stays intact and it's a lot quicker for the emergency responder. So, and then the other project that got scaled back is the Winters West Side buffers on the northwest corner of Winters. It's actually it's pretty under control already. There may be a little bit of weed whacking or mowing that has to happen. So we can reduce this dollar amount and move it over to our fire awareness signs, which will have one on 128 going into the hills in Winters and one on Highway 16 going into the hills of the Capay Valley. And Allie has been doing a bit of research on this because it was suggested that we use a metal frame or metal frame. But Allie, do you want to give a little update on that? And yeah, so then before you do that, our final project change is adding the Knox boxes. We don't have a number of gates counted yet, but the Knox boxes that Chief Snyder suggests were about $250 each. And then we also have to figure out who will install them. So that's our project updates with changes, except for fire awareness signs, which I'm going to stop sharing and let Allie update us on that.
Yeah, so like Tanya mentioned, we've been reaching out to fabricators to get new estimates for the highway awareness signs. If y'all were at meetings last year, you would remember we had a sort of approved design that we were going to move forward with, but we determined that it would probably fade really fast and might not be something that folks could read after it had faded a bit. So we redesigned it, and I can share the design really quickly. Oh, I need permissions to share my screen, Tanya. But we're getting estimates from fabricators, and there was some suggestion that we do a metal, here we go, that we do metal posts for fire, since these signs are going to be in high fire areas. And after talking to sign fabricators, they thought that it probably wasn't necessary to do metal posts, and the normal, recommended wood posts would do just fine, and that the sign, if it was in fire, would probably need to be replaced anyway. The sign will be aluminum, and so it'll withstand, the elements and wind and all of that. And we're talking with fabricators about how to make sure that it's the least fade resistant over time and will last the longest. So yeah, that's kind of the update. This one is the one for the Cape Valley, as you can see with the Cape Valley Fire District and Severa logos on there. And then the one for Winters will have the Winters Fire Department and the West Winters Fire Safe Council on the sign. So we kept it really short and sweet, just for folks to be aware that it's high fire area, and a link to our website to find out more information on that. So that's the update. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a comment, I love the sign.
Thanks, Elaine.
Hey, Allie, it's Jesse from Cape Valley. I think I have a logo that would probably print better on that sign. I expect that people would have issues with that. I'll send it over to you.
Sure, great, thanks. Kate?
Yeah, well, thanks for using fonts on that are actually easy to read, especially if it's going to be on the side of a highway. So that's great. And I think if I remember right, there'd been discussion earlier about whether to include or have signs warning people to like not be dragging the chains from their boat trailers, this sort of thing, so that as they're coming back into the Pewter Creek Canyon from boating on Lake Berryessa, there'd be something reminding them basically to not be causing sparks all the way down.
Yeah, we actually did have a sign design that had like, careful of dragging chains and careful with campfires and all of that. And we just thought it'd be too much text for, on one sign. So that could be, that's a good idea. And it could be maybe roadside signs that we put out in the summertime, similar to our, our Fire Safe Council chipper program and address signs that we have. But yeah, we opted not to include too much text just so that folks could read it as they're flying by on the highway. But that's a good idea for future signs for sure, Kate.
And so is the point of this sign just so that people are aware that a fire may come to them rather than as a way to try to make it so people don't spark a fire?
I think the idea is just to get that fire is on their minds as they're entering, areas like Pewter Creek, the Pewter Creek Canyon up to Berryessa, that, their actions could spark a wildfire, definitely. And I think that's kind of our main focus at the moment. And that's also why we put our logo, our URL, hoping that folks will do more research, but at minimum, they'll at least be aware that they're entering a high fire area. And hopefully that'll encourage them to use caution.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think, certainly people who are driving 128 going up to the lake, it might not be from here. Actually, a large number of them aren't, and so might not be used to thinking in terms of driving around in a rural area, like, not running over the dry grass or dragging their chains, that sort of thing. So,
well, we haven't printed we haven't built the sign yet, so it can change. I mean, when we looked at everything we wanted to say in the sign, it was like kind of a paragraph.
Yeah. Sure. Like a book of signs, right? Yeah.
But
if I can add a little bit from that discussion, there was a period when money was seemingly limitless that we considered a series of signs that each had a simple, punchy action for people going up the canyon, such as don't park in the high grass, careful with your boat chains, and so forth. And each one would be on a separate sign so you wouldn't overload and make it difficult to read. I believe that is still, pending resources, a great idea, but the idea here is to sort of encompass everything with one sign and no harm in adding to it later as money becomes available.
Okay, thanks.
Pictographs can be used on road signs is a good.
Oh yeah, dragging
don't have
chain
to read.
yeah.
We don't. I mean, not to. I wasn't part of these conversations, but we don't have to have logos on there. It could be purely text. We could use that space for something else. I'm not trying to override the whole discussions that have already been happening, but.
Well, part of some of those discussions, so there's two audiences for this sign, is the out of area people, please be aware. And then the locals who may not be as engaged as the folks here. And that's what the logos are for, like, oh, CAL FIRE, like KP Valley, like, everybody's engaged, it's a partnership. And then the URL for everyone to go to, but we figured out if towners are not going to go to the URL, but if you drive past it, the sign a couple times, and you live in the KP Valley, then you might want to go and check it out. So that was the logic with that.
Elaine, do you have a comment? I mean, this is a good time to weigh in.
Yeah, I like the idea of the simple sign because when you're passing in a car, you go by the sign real quick. You can't read a whole lot at once. But I do like the idea of having maybe a series of signs. I think that would work too. But I think basically this sign is perfect. I think the little logos are fine, but the one simple message is great. And then if you want to add anything, have a series of signs, because otherwise you just, how it is when you're driving, you can't read a whole lot at once.
Yeah. Agreed. Jorge, what, you have a comment?
They can be like the old Burma shave signs.
I was thinking that too. But you also have to know that, you have to find a site for the sign and get the landowner's permission. So of course, like everything else, it's more complicated than just put up a sign. And Jorge had his hand up.
And I dropped a question here in the chat, just wondering if there could be signage at Lake Berryessa, like as people load up their boats, or whatnot, and before they get onto the highway, working with whoever's responsible up there, maybe this state park system, I believe, for, I'm sure, recreation district. But that's an endeavor in itself. I'm not sure what y'all think about that.
It is, that's a good idea, and it is an endeavor in itself.
I'm semi-new to the area. I've only been up there to go jet skiing once, and it's quite fun. But yeah, I'm not sure who would be responsible. It's a, sorry for the naiveness here. It's a state recreation area.
Tanya, if I might jump in here, Evan Kilkus here from Lake Berryessa region.
Thank you, Evan.
Hey there. Yep. So I guess I wear several hats, including the Lake Berryessa News junior editor, and then also I work with the Fire Safe Council here in the Berryessa Highlands, where we've been doing fire safe projects for the last 15 years. And Napa County's fire safe councils are growing, and they're getting more coordinated. So there are more organized efforts up here. I love the idea of this sign down there on 128, simple, high fire area. It does seem to get a simple message across, because then there's 10 other messages you can add to it. And maybe that's where some Burma shave signs seasonally can be put out by volunteers. But I don't want to say too much, other than I can say that in the Berryessa area, we're doing a little bit, or as best we can. We do no fireworks signs, a big no fireworks campaign in the summer season. So there's more to be done. I won't say we're doing all that needs to be done, but a little bit's being done out this way. And then you guys do your thing, and I'm just here to stay in tune with what's going on across the border, because I'm just a few miles away.
Thank you. Ken, you've had your hand up for a bit.
Yeah, just a suggestion, maybe to include a QR code next to the URL. So if someone just snaps a picture on their phone as they go by at 70 miles an hour, they can then click through to the address later.
No using your cell phone at 70 miles an hour.
I know.
The passenger, not the driver.
Oh
Driver
boy.
will say, hey, get a picture of that quick.
We could take off the www. That's not really, and just to make it a little cleaner. That's pretty much implied.
Not sure that that's necessary or even really a great idea, but it's an idea to consider. We aren't finalizing the design here tonight, are we?
No, we're
Well,
not fine.
we'd like
Mhm.
to get going. I mean, we've been talking about this for so long. It'd
I
be
know.
nice to,
What's the, in terms of process, what will be the process of finalizing this design? Is it going to run by the West Winters Fire Safe Council again after these changes?
That's a good question. Tanya, do you have any insights or thoughts on that?
I guess it wouldn't hurt because once the sign is made, we can't change it. Ally, do you have the Winters one handy too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because graphics are so, it's really hard to see it without seeing it. So seeing the final version makes sense.
Yep. And I like the reverse contrast just to keep you guys interested so they don't look exactly the same. Looks very readable. High contrast is great. And we already have a location for it. We have landowner approval, and we shouldn't need highway Caltrans approval because it's far enough back from the road. So
Right.
this one it can move fairly fast. And if you want me to run it by the group, I can do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll just let the local fire safe councils weigh in and not take up any more of this group time
great.
because we have done a lot of vetting on this and then some changing and it's been a bit of a
Thank you.
process.
Sounds great.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you, Ally, for all your background work and instant flexibility on
No
changing
worries.
things. So all that to say, we are still on item 6, which is to approve the added projects.
All right. So do we have any more discussion or questions, or can we go ahead for a motion and approvals?
I'd like to move that we approve the changes.
And as excited as I get about stream side, I'd like to second that.
We got a motion and a second. Before I call the question, any other questions or discussion on the Knox boxes? I'll wait a moment.
I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
Okay, hearing none, same format as I did with the minutes. I'll say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. I think I waited long enough for people to get off mute, and if not, speak up now, but I think that carries. So we'll go on to reports, I believe.
All right, thank you. So I get to lead the reports section, and the first report is Office of Emergency Services, and Christopher is here to update us. Oh, and Kurt too.
So good evening, good afternoon / good evening to everybody. Thanks for being there. The report from OES is with regards to the vegetation management projects that we're trying to get moving. We have officially now closed the books on the first project, so we know the process without any hiccups. And everybody that's in the region, whether it be up in Cape or down in Winters, that had submitted their name and or their contact information, they will be receiving an email from me over the next week or two. It'll be a combined email with me and the contractors for us to then start working through all the projects that were requested so we can get them done over the next couple of months. So other than that, if there's any questions or specifics that anybody has, or if you want to pass my contact information on to anybody that may or may not have been included in the first couple months when we were doing this, or the first year that we did this, just pass my information on. Everybody here knows it, so don't hesitate.
Thank you, Kurt. It's good to see you in the county. Does anyone have any questions for Kurt?
Cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're moving on to resource conservation districts, and I already went through the project, so I'm going to turn it over to Heather to talk about contracts.
So this is about the early action funding and getting contractors lined up to do implementation. We're waiting for we're really close to getting the MOU amendment with the county, legal counsel and OES. It looks like, and so it's kind of there's a last minute decision of whether to, from legal counsel, whether it needs to go before the Board of Soups again or can be signed by the CAO's office. But I suspect that either way, it's going to be either mid-December or early to mid-January before that goes through. So we're kind of going to wait until that is completed before we put out a request for qualifications for eligible contractors for these fields work projects. So that's kind of the update there. And anything else you want me to update, Tanya?
Our CAL FIRE planning grant.
And so that's something I thought you wanted Kate to take that. So
Oh no, the contract for the upcoming grant that we have been.
okay,
so
so
we
we
were
have,
awarded
I
a
guess
grant.
with that contracting and yeah, okay. Related to that are I guess somewhat related to your interest here. We are, we're planning on being able to fund planning projects, especially with people in the high fire areas who are interested in doing prescribed burning and targeted grazing for fuels reduction. You'll see an RFQ going out after that grant goes into contract, which is like unusually delayed at CAL FIRE's level, and that's the entire wildfire prevention grant program. So there's some kind of high level decision that has to be made before we get our contracts in place. It's supposed to start January 1, and you'll see RFQs for like California Certified Burn Boss, which is required for certain types of prescribed fire, and then California Certified Grazing Manager. So the RCD has expertise in-house, but we don't have certification on either one of those, and those are parts of being able to use CAL FIRE funding, for example, to do implementation projects in prescribed fire and targeted grazing. So we are going to be bringing in some expertise in that regard. Coming up.
Awesome. Our next topic is grant opportunities, and Kate has some exciting updates for us.
Hi, everybody. So I've got 3 updates. The first is that the California Fire Safe Council grant that funded the beginning of the Fire Safe Council, it's going to be reoffered in January, and we will be applying for that to continue the work that we're doing. And the second item is that CAL FIRE has released their request for proposals for their wildfire prevention grant. And we are partnering with Solano RCD to apply for that. The application is due in January. We're on track to get it submitted by mid-December. We'll be asking for about $500,000 in implementation funds to implement many of the projects in the CWPP. And the third item has to do with a grant that we submitted early this month, and we worked on it with Catholic Charities. It was with Fire Adapted Communities Network, and that was to implement one of the specific Fire Safe Council projects, and that was the inclusive communication, evacuation preparation, and whole community outreach project. And so we submitted that. It's a small grant. It's for $80,000, and as the on the ground part of the team, Catholic Charities is hopefully going to get about 3/4 of that. And that we should know that in December, whether or not we've been awarded that grant. It is for whole community outreach regarding evacuation and fire safe planning, with emphasis on people who have different needs associated with language and access and mobility. So yeah, that's the news there. And I'd like to give a shout out to Jorge and Chelsea from Catholic Charities, who helped out a lot with that grant application, and to Kate Laddish, who helped a lot with giving me her time to talk about how to set up the grant, the things to think about, and gave me a ton of great resources that whether we get the grant or not, we will be using as we move forward in the sphere of education and outreach with respect to fire safety, fire prevention, and fire preparedness. So that's all I've got for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Well, Kate, you made the process easy for us with your communication and the space that you created to be able to go back and forth and with a little tight timeline. So appreciate you. Thank you, Kate Laddish, as well, for the insight and guidance. Looking forward to learning some more.
Ken, did you have something? Thanks, Jorge.
Good team, good teamwork. Thank you. So the next report is the Yolo PBA and outreach info from Allie.
All right, hi again, everyone. So our PBA coordinator, Bailey, couldn't be here tonight. She's actually attending a prescribed fire training up in Eureka. And so that's really the big update for the PBA, is that our RCD staff has been getting a bunch of training and has been working through to sort of streamline the process for how to get prescribed fire on the ground in the county a little bit more easier and more clearly and defined for us. And so yeah, RCD staff has been doing a bunch of training and assisting with some burns in the county. We assisted with a burn outside of Woodland, and then another one in the city of Davis. And then our staff's been attending a bunch of trainings, like I said, outside of the county as well. And then hopefully we'll be gearing up for our spring burn, which will be our second burn for the PBA. And we're working towards nailing down those logistics and starting that planning up. And hopefully we'll have some informational meetings and possibly some trainings for folks as we get ready for that. And then I guess I'll just dive into our programs update. And I can also drop Bailey's email in the chat if anyone has any questions about the PBA or is looking to get involved. Or you can shoot me a message and I can add your contact information to our mailing list so that you're up to date when PBA events become, more solid and more planned out, and we have more information for you. So yeah, our Fire Safe Council programs, our chipper program, we had a quick half-day chipper day on November 6th, where the chipper crew went out and visited some properties in Winters that they couldn't reach in the October chipper day. And so we got out and did those 2 properties, and then we don't have another chipper day on the books just yet. We don't have enough interest for a full day of chipping. So we have 2 properties on our list right now. I think they're both up in the Cape Valley or in the Esparto Cape Valley area. And so, yeah, just spread the word that our chipper program is still going. Hopefully, we'll be able to reach the piles during the winter season if they're not in the middle of a muddy field or anything like that, something to consider. And then the address sign program is still chugging along. For both of those programs, for our PBA program and our new cost share program through NRCS, we developed a little mailer that's going to be sent out very soon to Winters area folks and communities in the Cape Valley, so folks are aware that those programs are available to them. And then we still have some roadside signs that are advertising the chipper and address sign programs, some new ones that'll be going out soon as well. And so I think that's my update. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?
Excellent, thank you. The last is Solano RCD, and I see Chris down there, but he's having audio issues. Yep, we can't hear him. Okay, so thank goodness for the chat. So the Solano RCD is getting close to sending their bid package for the hazard tree removal along Pleasants Creek, which folks have been asking about for a long time. And they're meeting with fire districts and fire department leads about establishing a PBA, which is pretty exciting. And so they're getting some traction and some interest on that. We've been helping with that too. So that is, that's been fun partnership.
And Tanya, also, if I could just say hello, I'm actually here on behalf of Karen Young, and I see Chris Rose here too. But just to introduce myself, because I'm hoping I can show up at more of these meetings. My name is Orla Richardson, and I'm a project coordinator with Solano RCD. And I'm helping Karen work under the CAL FIRE grant right now to establish 3 new fire safe councils throughout Solano County. And just a little update there, just some excitingness. We've had a really great response, and we actually have 2 big groups that are extremely interested. So fingers crossed on where that goes. But anyway, I'm really happy to be here, and it's lovely to meet all you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're looking forward to some more burning. Okay, and now we're going to move on really quickly to Community Fire Safe Council. So in alphabetical order, Cape Valley, and Moira's not here, but Chief Capitano is here. Are you still here, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm still here. I will try and remember. The membership of Sivera got a some training on like basic usage of the CalTopo GIS program. I don't know if Moira talked about that last month at all, but as we're going into the rainy season, they were asked to basically go around their neighborhoods and map any ditch lines that are clogged with vegetation, so that hopefully we could work with the PBA and try and get those ditches burned out before we start needing them. So they've been walking ditch lines and trying to assess areas that need, you know, some fire treatment, as well as stuff that we could do with weed whackers. And then they've been exporting those maps back to me so that I can try and put together some polygons for Bailey to look at. And other than that, I think we're getting close to winding down the year, and maybe not that much else going on, unless Jonathan can think anything.
No, I think that's it. Trying to get some interest in the Rumsey area on the Firewise community, and working towards that as well. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. And I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to be meeting with Chief Watson and Chief Capitano to do some more planning on that buffer. Thank you. Next is Pleasants Valley. I see Reveille was here.
Hello.
There she is.
Yeah. I was very pleased to be at the RCD plant sale at Roostaller. It was a great event, and the people that came were really fired up about planting and veg management. And anyway, it was terrific. I was very happy about it. Some part of the crew went down to Merriment on Maine. I don't know how that went because I haven't heard from them, but a little outreach there. So that's about the extent of what's going on right now. Except that everybody's weed whacking and burning like crazy people. So.
Great, thank you. And Wes Winters?
Yeah, hi everybody. That must be some of the smoke I'm smelling up here by the north side of the creek there, Reveille. Yeah, so we didn't have a meeting in November, but I had a very constructive meeting with Chief Snyder and Captain Shane at the Winters Fire to work out the details of the emergency responder signs that we have been funded for, and so that thing's moving forward. And we are still talking about becoming Firewise community, and that is in discussion in the board, but has not had much immediate progress. And that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Sherry Gardner was here from Napa, but I think she has left, so we will not get a report from Napa except for Evan's helpful comment. So that's it for reports. And it looks like our next meeting is 2 months from now. So there will be a lot of activity to report. Jonathan put something in the chat about signs, and actually if you folks are out and about and you see signs that you like, if you could snap a picture and send them our way, that would be helpful too, although really don't want to do a lot of sign redesigning.
No, to me, it was just interesting the fact that, you know, that sign was out there in an area, you know, very rural. I found it on Google Street View, but I can't find it again. Short of going down, you know, it couldn't find it to link it. I was trying it, but one side was defensible space, the other one was a fire risk area. You know, it's a very rural, dry area on the other side of the valley, and like, oh well, there's a sign. We're eventually going to have a sign. It's to me, as at least on the Fire Safe Council, it seemed an appropriate, means of communication, and I was pleased to see it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but as you say, we're moving towards adjournment, and yeah, and there are probably lots and lots of ideas, but for signs. But the idea is just if as we actually that was what the other one was. It was mowing, you know, using equipment and just one spark, something like that. But as I ramble on here and look at that picture, I guess we should call to adjournment, or is there anything else, Tanya?
That's all that I have on the agenda.
All right. Someone, I suppose we make a motion or just go vote all in favor. So
If Jonathan, if you need a motion to adjourn, I'd be happy to provide one.
I think we'll go that route just since we have.
All right, I will move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? See you in January. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.